Well, this is my work area. When I'm not weaving, I'm here. And as you see, the cat and I share this. Um, but what I really like is being able to spread things out here a lot, and then sew, and then wheel over here and just iron. And I can turn it on and off there. And I really like the wheels. So I can sit here for hours, and I do. A magnifying light that helps me see things. And I really like the sewing part. I like that almost as much as the weaving. And once I'm sewing, then I definitely like it as much as the weaving. So that part's good.
So why don't you tell us just a little bit about your loom?
My loom is 24 harness AVL mechanical dobby, which means I make up a pattern that I want. I have what I call fancy graph paper on my computer, and I fill in the possibilities for a pattern and tweak it until I like it a lot, and then put it on the dobby bars, which then select which of the 24 harnesses go up each time I press a treadle. That's pretty easy, but it takes the thinking out of the weaving part, but all the thinking is done as you're getting ready for it. So then it's just mechanical, and I like the mechanical part of it, the me stepping on a treadle, watching the thread go in, watching the cloth build up, keeping the spools, the perns, the bobbins of the shuttle ready. That's a thrill. And then the cloth automatically advances to the back, although it's not set up for that right now. There was something on the loom I needed to cut off right away, and so that way, now it's just going around the sandpaper and building up there in the front beam, which provides a whole lot of tension. That's mostly where the tension is. And I'm coming to the end of the warp, which is always sad and exciting at the same time. So that's, it's been 27 yards of assorted greens on their green wool.
How long is your normal warp that you put on?
Between 25 and 40 yards. I've been known to do more, but then again, my booth or my collection of clothes can look an awful lot the same. I have to keep changing ideas, and if you've got 50 yards of warp on, it's pretty hard to make 50 yards of different fabric. And even now, I can see that there's a lot of things that are looking similar. But if they look too similar to me, I'll try to make a very different style garment. There's two in the corner. One is a big cocoon coat, and the one next to it has the same colors, but I've made a tailored jacket out of it. So there's no thinking that one is, that they are not there. I need to have the clothes always be one of a kind. Nobody's going to walk down the street and say, oh, that's what I have. No, it's not. In fact, I noticed sitting here that the jacket would go very nicely underneath the cocoon coat, so maybe I made an ensemble.
Nice.
The one sitting next to you, these chenilles, was the warp before this one. And it was an absolutely gorgeous warp on. I called it the fire warp because it was all the fire colors of reds and purples and bright golds and oranges. And I was making the warp as Notre Dame Cathedral was burning, and I noticed that they were the same colors. And that was a little breathtaking, but a gorgeously horrible graphic as the steeple filled with flames and fell over. So it's memorable, but a lot of this stuff is emotional. So there's just everything inside of me comes out in the weaving. and I'm seeing a piece of elephant that I did on a warp before the fire warp. And it's 10 years ago. I did it when, did the elephants at first when my mother died. And it just looked like, it was very symbolic for me. And this year, I was putting a painted warp on, and it was fine enough. And my friend Karen DeMiss was in the nursing home, but still totally with it. Her body was giving out, but her mind was so clear. I said, I'm going to do summer and winter. And she says, oh, you have to do Takate. Oh, really? I knew she did it. She's very good at it. And I had no idea what Takate was. And it's just a form of doing this where you have figures. You can do a pattern with a ground weave. And so I used her stationary brain sitting there showing me what on earth that is. And I would take it in and we'd tweak it a little. She even had an Indian assistant. One of the nurse's aides was from India. And she gave us some advice on you need the legs to be a little longer and a little more hump in the back. And Karen knew how to do both of those. So I have very emotional feelings about these elephants. And we have their trunk turned up, which is good luck in the elephant symbology.
Would you say that as you're planning your weavings and picking colors for the wefts, that even if large life events or crazy world events aren't happening, that your decisions are often driven by emotion as well?
Yep. Emotion, and there's a practical streak to all this too, of course. Like at some point, there's only so much orange the world is going to absorb.
Right.
Red is a happy seller. You turn it, put a dark across it, like the other two chenilles behind you, and they turn more somber, but they're also still easy to sell. But I have sold quite a bit of orange across this fire warp, but they start looking a lot the same. It was very hard to disguise this. You knew there were a lot of cousins of this guy out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. I just kept trying to find different patterns for them, different variations.
So when you're designing your patterns or you're coming up with your garments, do you have like a set of sort of garments that you've designed and you really like and you sort of work from those, or do
Yes.
you often or ever sort of stray from those and figure new cool things out and explore in that regard?
I don't do many new cool things. I do theme and variation of something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm enjoying that. It's taking me a long way. So I have about 6 garments, because the other thing I have to do is find a garment that fits several different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tailored jacket over there that actually is only going to fit a size 8 to 12, and that's too limiting to me. There's not a lot of size 8 to 12 people in the world. That many of them are bigger than that. So I need to tweak it within that, but I can do long sleeves, short sleeves, a different kind of collar on something, or a band. I usually put bands instead of collars, because hand woven is surprisingly chunky. Even when you think you're doing fine yarn,
Mm-hmm.
it still doesn't turn as well as shirting for a man's collar or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to find simple lines that turn better, that don't announce that this is a chunky fabric. And then figure out what's the stress of a garment. And you need to be careful not, let me see, I'm thinking of chenilles. You can't quite turn them diagonally and cut them open. That's a little tricky unless you've got something stiff like a wool for a background on chenille.
Mhm.
Wool and chenille are a wonderful combination, because chenille can be troublesome, and wool just reaches out with its fibers and grabs it and says, "You're going to do it my way," and it's just a nice controller
Mhm.
of chenille. I use all natural fibers. And every now and then you get tempted with something that's got a little synthetic in it. But then I think to myself that when I make this garment and write it up, I'm going to have to put acrylic or polyester on the label. And that's enough for me to set it aside and give it away at a guild meeting.
Mhm.
Say, I can't do this. I love it, and so somebody will give it a home.
Mhm.
That's nice. I appreciate that, but I have to give them away. So I need them to be natural. I really like linens, but it's expensive enough, and I don't get them enough. But your friend with the interesting last name that I can't pronounce, it was doing the linen towels.
Justin Squizera.
Yeah, that guy
Mhm.
got me interested in quality linen towels. So I have
Mhm.
done a few, and they sold pretty well, in fact. So
Oh, nice.
I've got 3 more left for the guild sale this year. I sold 3 at my own studio, my outdoor show this spring, this fall. And I'm thinking of putting a towel warp on, because I do have some good heavy towel linen. And it dyes up
Oh,
beautifully.
nice.
So I've enjoyed the dyeing this year, and that's going to be the next warp on. This is a warp. This is my next warp, and this is 30 yards. So that's going to use every color in the room on it,
That's beautiful.
because it's just, and it's a kick to do it.
Mm.
When that's done, I get to make another one, and that'll be fun.
Mm.
Except last night I was trying to figure out how I could do it in the winter, because it needs to be very warm for 24 hours. And there aren't many places in this house that are very warm for 24 hours. So in the summer, it's easy. You stick it out by the barn, on the sunny side of the barn, and put black around it and put a lid on it, and it just cooks the color right in there. You see, I got a polyester thread in here.
Mhm.
I have to take that one out when I beam it.
So what will that become?
Oh, just more jackets, coats, maybe a few blouses. Blouses don't sell very well. Haven't figured out why.
Hmm.
Maybe I don't have a good pattern form or something. But,
Interesting.
yeah. Hi, Keith.
So how long have you been weaving?
I've been weaving since 1980.
Woo. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
forever.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like forever, because I remember that I had a life before,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't as much fun as this.
Right.
I'm going to quit weaving when I don't enjoy it this much. That's a long time from now.
So have you, ever since you've been weaving, since 1980, has it been like a primary source of income and job, or have you sort of fluctuated between weaving and other things and back and forth?
It took 10 years before, oh no, almost 20, before I started selling seriously. After about 7 years, I sold a couple things and was surprised I could part with them. And now I consider a garment finished when it goes to an owner. And that's interesting. I had the most wonderful lime green elephant long vest, and it had some gorgeous colors of lime green and brass and muted colors. And it was an unusually large size, and I thought, oh, I can't wear this, so I can't say that it's okay, I'll wear it. But the perfect person came along for it, and that just made it the perfect vest for me. I was so happy with that, and she was too, of course. And it's always a giggle to find the person that absolutely needs it, needs a garment, because I'm asking them to spend a lot of money on this stuff, so it's not just going to be anybody, and sometimes it takes them a year to figure out something,
Mm-hmm.
if they want it or not. And sometimes I will finance it. I will accept payments over several months, and that's good. I I like that. That helps people because they're there and they're making a spontaneous decision about a $300 garment, and maybe not. Oh, but maybe I can help. So I've learned a few sales techniques that I can empathize with what somebody is going through, and they're happy about it. So I'm not talking them into something they don't want. I'm just talking them into spending more than they thought they were going to.
Right, yeah.
And it's just a joy to see people put these things on and wrap themselves around in it. And I've had people on very sad occasions do that, and their face softens. I've had a couple pieces that were wedding outfits, and that is joyful. And then I get wedding pictures afterwards. I have the two pieces that I made for myself for my parents' funeral, one each, of course, and that's very moving. And then I've got another jacket now that I notice works very nice over black things, and it's quiet enough that I wear to funerals. So it just seems like a very emotional job, which is okay because my life is full of, I guess my heart is on my sleeve. It's just right out there, but it's joyful.
Yeah.
The whole part of it is so happy to do this.
Yes.
This will forever be Jane's loom.
Yes.
Jane and I bought our looms at the same time, and to save $7, I had mine shipped to Jane's on the same truck, and then went over there with my little truck and put my loom on my truck. But in the meantime, I helped her carry hers up the stairs and all that wonderful stuff. So I've seen this loom from the beginning, but I wove for 26 years on mine. And she wove, I mean, she had it for that amount of time, but she didn't do nearly as much as I did. Mine was worn out and hers was brand new. But forever, this will be Jane's loom. And Jane was such a good friend, and she's just sort of not in the world anymore. She hasn't died, but her mind has turned to other things. And well, it's been taken from her, and she's still a happy person, which actually is a happy ending for her, that she could be someplace where she's safe. And I've got this loom and I'm using it to pieces.
Right.
I suspect I will beat on it for another 20 years, and that's just fine. And then somebody will have to take it out of here somehow.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully fix it up and keep on beating on it.
Maybe Tegan will come over and get you, and Tegan will bring your truck over and haul this thing, take a window out and take it out the window.
Right? Yeah, whatever it takes.
I had a Glamocra once, and I loved the loom. It was a nice, sweet loom, and somebody else just got a Glamocra. And so Jane and I went over to help her put it together. Oh, I've done this before. Choo, 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 choo. I left when it was pretty much all together. Next time I went back, I learned that they had to take the whole thing almost completely apart because I had put the treadles on backwards. So if anybody asked me to help them move a Glamocra, I'll get that part right this time, because that was vivid, and it was, so mean. I didn't help at all. Oh, but things can go wrong.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely can. Was it a counter march?
I don't know about that. But they had really long treadles.
Yeah.
And I thought they came from the front and went that way.
They go the opposite.
And I think they went that way, and you get to put your foot up really high and just press the end of it, which is great leverage.
Yeah.
But I screwed it up.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for Jane and Anna Marie.
Yeah, that's what, we got a Varpa, which is like...
I had a Varpa pool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That
got
was
it from
my second
India.
one. From
Finlandia. It was like
Yeah.
one of their.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We got it from a woman out. She was like out near Unadilla. So the Finlandia is now the Lisa. So you can get a new castle for it that comes out in the front and has a top swing beater, and you can get a Dobby for it.
Aha.
So you can like totally update the loom now.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. I'm doing rugs on it. Like I'm right now I'm like learning all the threading and like how to set up and properly beat the like for shaft switching.
Okay. Oh.
Like I'm learning how to like get the set right and do all that kind of stuff before I actually build the shaft switching device.
Oh, wow.
But that's coming hopefully over the winter at some point.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but I got a little excited and I put like too much warp on, so I've got like a lot of rugs to do.
Yeah. Push, 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 push. Yeah, your loom is pushing you around.
Yes.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I mean I'm having a lot of fun. It's cool.
Very good.
Yeah.
I only gave up my Varpapoo because Jane was ordering the AVL, and I called to see what I thought about it. But, what it would be, and so I had made a down payment by the time I finished the phone call.
Mhm.
So they put it on the same truck.
Nice. That's cool.
It was cool.
So have you been like happy with it? I mean, you obviously been happy because you got the second one when you wore the first one out. But have you like what do you feel like the ABL offers that like maybe the Varpa didn't, or you might not be able to get out of some other looms?
Well, I really wanted the Dobby, the
Mm.
mechanical Dobby. When I dream up something complicated in my head, I'm always relieved I can get to the end of the warp without wanting to put a computerized Dobby head on the loom instead. So I'm relieved not to have to deal with a computer running the mechanics of the loom. So I like that. I don't mind pegging 300 Dobby bars. I even have a setup for it so I can hang them off. They can go over to the window and down to the floor and make a pile down there, and I can pull them. And it's fast and interesting, and I don't know if I could ever treadle again. Treadle with lots of treadles on the floor. That I don't want to think that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I like just having the Dobby bars do it for me, because it seems like a good idea. There's a lot about AVL I like. There's a lot about Magato I like too.
Yeah.
It's a sweet loom, and it's quieter than a Dobby, than the AVL. But I use the entire plus 2 inches of the width of my loom. I aim for 62 inches on my 60-inch loom, because it only has to be 60 when it goes over the front. So it's scrunched on the edges. So that means there's no room to store extra heddles. So every time I thread the loom, I have to take heddles off and put them someplace else. And most looms are very complicated to get to the ends of the heddle bars and take the heddles off. You have to wrestle them around a box. And this, you just slip them off and put the little wire back in that keeps them in place. So that, I probably couldn't go with another loom just because I need that so much.
That is a very nice feature.
The rest of it is, I get grumpy about some things about it, but not very often. And some of it is because I have done enough alterations to it that I'm demanding that this picker pull it all the way back. And then I'll put actually a different substitute silicone tubing on there instead of the rubber tubing from AVL. And that works. Sometimes that works better. But when it's fresh, when the tubing is fresh, it works better. The loom is not my problem. My
Right.
problem is I need more time,
Right.
and I want to sit here, and life needs to just hold off. Stop at that door, please.
Right.
but it doesn't.
I think that is the eternal struggle of all weavers, right?
It's
I
a
mean,
wonderful problem.
yes, you just want to sit and weave forever. Yeah. I mean, sometimes we don't eat dinner until midnight because we just want to weave and that can
Okay,
wait.
your partner understands better than mine does. I have learned that I cannot leave my coffee cup in here, because if I have to come in here in the morning to get my coffee cup, I can't have a leisurely breakfast. It's just a rush to come into this room. So I have to, I just don't. I stay on the other end of the house for the first hour of the morning. And then I can come in here.
Once you're settled and ready for the day.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear that. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I think that we've got a nice little video, and is there anything else?
No, I thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my pleasure.